everybody. Welcome to Bulletproof Underwear, episode number 131. Yeah! Waka, 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 waka. I am your co-host, Yam Juice.
And I'm your co-host, Flex.
And today we've got the one, the only, the modest Major himself. Yeah!
Yeah!
Woot! Woot!
What's up, guys?
Woot. Hey, Major.
Hello.
So we're going to say, what have you been up to lately?
Playing Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, going hard, probably... No, I'm just kidding. Halo 5. I've been playing Halo 5 for almost 2 days now. Almost 48 hours, which is mildly absurd. And enjoying my time with it immensely.
You are a monster. You are an animal. You're a maniac.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't really get bored of, new games, the first, couple of days, it is kind of depressing because nothing ever touches them, because I like to, take a game and just, rinse it and bleed it dry and just, find out everything and, go into every nook and cranny and just, obsess over the game, and it just becomes my mind for a couple of days. And then eventually I'll make myself sick of it, even if it's the best game ever. It's happened with every single game. I go through that 7-day honeymoon of it's the greatest thing that's ever existed, and then by day 8 I'm I know it too well. Every little every problem becomes more annoying and stuff like that. But yeah.
Well, the way you've been at it is good thing you don't have a girlfriend. She would be.
Yeah, dude.
She'd be a little salty.
She would not be happy. I definitely set aside everything. Let's not talk to a girl. Let's not engage in conversation. We don't want no life commitments right now. Let's keep them to a minimum. Yeah.
I've seen pictures of you. You're not too ugly of a guy, but I think you'd still make a pretty crappy boyfriend just because you'd never have time for chickly things.
Yeah, dude. She'd probably come second to a game, especially Halo 5.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so let's see. Halo 5 has been out now for how long? It's been out for just a little over a week.
Well, if you're not including the preview program, it's a week and a half. No, a week and a weekend, I guess.
Okay, and including the preview, you did play the preview.
I did play the preview. I got it just by begging people on Twitter, but not the legitimate way. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of us were a little salty. Now, Flex, you had codes.
Yeah, they sent codes in my preview program, and I didn't know I had them till after the preview was over. What do you care? You suck at it anyway.
You're right. But I would suck at it. I would have had just a little bit more practice in. If
they jump on people. That did help that day as well. I can't lie.
Yeah. So, anywho, got a chance to finally play it this week myself, and I managed to get ranked in the bronze category. So, Flex, did you finish your ranking?
No, I was playing Battlefield.
There you go. Well, anywho, Major, you were ranked semi-pro, or you were ranked pro? What were you ranked?
I was wavering between semi-pro and pro, a bunch, and it was really, really hard to maintain pro. The second I get into pro, we just match up against free pros who obviously knew what they were doing, and I just feel the game was really trying to test our mettle and just being you've got to earn this. But today, just by playing with a really, really strong team of people like Delementary and Severed Void and Raps, we were just going absolutely ham-bone and dropped 3 games the whole day. So now I'm really, really high into the pro bracket, which I'm not sure I deserve. On paper, I would not call myself a pro. I think semi-pro or Onyx, I'd probably put myself into if I'm playing on point. But there's definitely in Halo 4, I was probably the mid to high of our community, and I know that's not the best representation because our community go pretty hard and take the game pretty seriously. But at the same time, I was nowhere near the caliber of a pro, so I'm not really sure. I think a lot of people are saying the ranking system will take a little bit of time to optimize and iron out, and it will become tougher and tougher. And I have noticed that the last couple of days I've had some games where I've been wow, sweating I need a friggin' handkerchief to just wipe off that sweat. And we have to be calling out every game just in case, which I really, really like, because if there was a problem that Halo 4 had, it was that it didn't get you invested in the games. You found the fun through pub stomping and just tearing faces, whereas Halo 5, it's rejuvenated that whole idea of I feel really proud of like where I'm at as a player. I feel really proud of like the rank I've got, and I want to like maintain that and keep my play tip top and stuff like that. So it's cool. It's really fun.
Yeah, but see, I got to give props to you because you sent me an invite yesterday to play with you, and you know that I'm not going to help you win. So I was very appreciative of that, very cognizant of the fact that I'm the dead wood on this team.
But you've also got to bear in mind that like you get us against like easier players, so like it's. I'm more concerned about like whether the guy's having a fun time. Like, I don't want to. You get people in sometimes, and they're just having the worst time of all time, and I feel bad for them. Like, I don't really care, like, about because like as long as a guy's trying in my lobby, and as long as they're having fun and they're not going emo, cough cough, Sort Vengeance, cough cough, Lurker Zero, cough cough, Uber Nick at times, cough cough, many people in the community. Like, as long as they're not like depressed, like I feel like we have a good chance of winning regardless. Just because, like, you can make yourself even. Like, you might not go off like at all, but like you can make yourself even just through good mindset and like not pushing situations. Right. Where they're going to outplay you.
Well, even if you do go negative, if you get a really good amount of assists, you're still kind of helping your teammates. They're getting a chance to clean up after you and rank up some kills. So if you get a lot of assists, you still might be helping.
Totally, yeah. And being in the right places at the right time. Like, Guardian's one of the things I've noticed, like, more so than other games, is it almost has, like, this buddy cop system of, like, if you stick to someone, like, glue and, like, make sure you've got his back in situations. And this is something that really occurs, like, on a very regular basis, is, like, this bait and switch tactic of, like, your guy goes like really, really aggro, like one of them, and then you've got a guy waiting in the wings, kind of like, let's say he's got an energy sword. This happened like earlier with me and Raps, where like Raps just like took a bunch of damage and then like fell back, and I was crouching, so the guy was like, right, it's time to push that guy's one shot, and then I just come in with a sword and just go boom, dead, boom, dead. Because Halo 5 Guardians has like very, very high kill time. And like I said, like with the movement abilities, like the thruster pack, you can kind of just swarm on people and you just like vultures and pick at them, and then they just get absolutely murdered. So if you set up for those situations, just
so
destroy.
You're showing them the old bait and switch.
Mm-hmm. The bait and switch is I honestly like love like the little tactics that go on and how the movement abilities are used alongside them. It's just a really, really fun time. I hope that lasts. Like, obviously, if you talk to me like during the Titanfall beta, I would have like given you like 1,000-word essay on why Titanfall was the greatest thing to revolutionize FPS gaming, and then like a week later, it was like, nah, it's boring. I do feel like Halo 5. I'm not enjoying it on a gimmicky level. I'm enjoying it on a this feels really, really solid type of level. There's honestly in Halo 5, and I think this is probably the biggest criticism you could level at it, is there's not that much stuff that like blows you away. Like, in the same way Titanfall, where you saw a Titan drop the first time, you were like, oh my god, like I've never seen something like this in an FPS game. But then when that wore off, it got boring. Guardians doesn't really have that. I think like the thing that takes you in is like, wow, the aim assist is like one of the lowest I've seen in a game in years, and wow, the abilities are actually like used in conjunction with your player pretty strong, and the map design's actually pretty good. But it's not like, the ground pound is probably one of the newest additions, but even that, like, it's really, really fun to hit, but it's not like mind-blowing or revolutionary. It's just like, wow, this is a really solid ability.
I don't know if it's that impactful either, because I've watched a lot of streams and played the game, and I have not seen... I've been killed one time by a ground pound, and I have not seen a whole lot of successful ground pounds that resulted in killing somebody.
It's actually like very risk reward, and it's very satisfying to hit, because you just make a read on the opponent and that's it. And I really, really love that idea, because like the times in which I've got it is, it's like I have a feeling that he's like panicking right now and he might like fall back to blue base, so I'm gonna hit the ramp leading up to blue base, and he will hopefully run there in advance, and he turns his back and he runs back to blue base, and it's just like, got you just in time, yes. But for the most part, there's a lot of situations where it's like, he's bottom middle, I'm going to ground pound him. But when you try and do it like in an obvious way against anyone who's remotely decent, you just get punished for it, and that's cool.
Yeah, because you're helpless. The moment after you hit the ground, you don't have any ability to to do anything. He can just like shoot and melee your ass dead if you miss.
And we had one of the funnest gaming sessions just then, and one of the things we were doing was like we decided that if you get plus 20 kills higher than the enemy team, you have to end it on a ground pound, and then we call that the mollywop, and then they got mollywopped, and we had to get the ground pound, so it would be like, but like we were like desperately trying not to lose a death, and it was like, oh my god, if they get to 31 then it won't be the mollywop, we need to get the mollywop. And then Dell was streaming and like the last kill he got was like the ground pound, and it was like, oh, the mollywop. It was like stuff like that, dude. Like, it's so fun.
Okay, so you're actually playing with Dell.
Uh-huh.
I watched him stream. I watched him stream a little bit, and just a little teeny bit emo, just a little bit. It's like complaining about things sometimes. But how did you find that? He's the king of the competitive argument of Halo 5.
I think like I have got to commend Dell on really like reaching inside of himself, because I think like one of the things I just can't take with a person is just like pure stubbornness. And for a little while, like I was worried that like that was it, and I did kind of like just have my doubts, I guess. Like I don't like people who are stubborn and who aren't willing to like at least give change a go, and like a real solid go. There's giving something a go for 2 hours and putting it down and saying it's trash, and then there's, I'm going to invest some time into this meta game, I'm going to see how it unfolds, and I'm going to see, watch a couple streams and stuff like that. And that's exactly what Dell's done. Like, he's gotten better, and I honestly think, like, even if he thinks it's like more of a casual Halo experience, and I totally like understand, like, if that's your prerogative and the way, like, you found a way to enjoy it, regardless, like, that's cool. And he was really, really fun to play with. We've had some of the best sessions with Dell, period. So yeah, I'm really happy. And I hope Lurker does the same, because this game, there are certain things, like a ground pound, for example. If Lurker hits a sick ground pound, his life will change. Like, he'll just be like, okay. Oh, wow, that's getting to YouTube. That's going to YouTube. I'm splitting that, dude. Like, that's going as a clip, dude. Like, he will be exactly like that. But he just needs some more of those moments to click. And I understand that, like, at the same time, the game isn't really helping players in that certain bracket of, like,
right.
I'm on the cusp of getting better, but
well, he tweeted out just yesterday, or maybe the day before, he's tweeted out just straight up, I am terrible at Halo 5.
And I think, like, Lurker came into our party, and we were playing, and I think Lurker needed someone to, like, vent with him and be like, let's hate on the game together, let's mutually hate, because I'm so mad right now. And it's like, Dell, you seem to be enjoying the game a little bit. Is that what I'm hearing? And Dell's like, yeah, I actually think it's pretty fun. And I was like, Lurker's like, oh, I don't. And then it was like, and then we were playing in the game, and like towards the end, he was just like, he was just saying stuff like, oh, we won, yay, this is great, woo. Like, I don't know. I want him to enjoy it for his own good and for everyone's good.
Oh,
and
I absolutely do. I absolutely do. So, okay, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that you probably had a hell of a time getting the lobby leadership when you're playing with Dell, because I bet he probably is pretty damn good.
Dell got very, very good today. Like, I ain't gonna lie, like, the first couple of times I played with him, I, like, had a few sessions when I carried him, and I was like, oh, maybe I'm the Halo 5 guru, like, I'm being Dell, what the hell is this? And then, really, he, like, warmed up to it and just figured out, like, the way in which he needed to play, and then I was like, okay. And a couple of games, we were just like, how the heck is Dell going 20-3 right now when I'm, like, 8-8, struggling with friggin' assists, like, playing out my mind?
Yeah.
So,
see, that'll help his ability to find enjoyment in the game, being really good at it.
In general, I think, like, Salt has a very in today's gaming industry, Salt has a profound effect on the way in which you judge games, and like, you need to be sitting there and like take a break, like step back, take a breather, and say, well, like, the bad things that happened in that gameplay scenario, were they down to me or were they down to gameplay mechanics? And there's certain games you play and they were down to gameplay mechanics. Call of Duty Ghost is like the prime example of like, that fucking wasn't my fault. That was the game. The game sucks. That the game mechanics reward defensive play. They reward being a douchebag, essentially. And Halo 5, like, there's so many times when I'm playing it and like I get like 3 deaths in a row and I'm like, I did push top red with no power weapon. They all had power weapons. There were 2 of them, so I guess I need to get my shit together. And then when I do get my shit together, I see the rewards, and like, that's cool. Ghost, you could have that like trial and error thing, and the trial and error would never lead you anywhere. It would just you'd get dead ends. You'd think, okay, so the philosophy of this game maybe is if I like push in this direction with this weapon, then I'll roadblock, and then you're dead. And it's like, okay, well, maybe I'll try this way, and I'll use the ACR, and I'll get this position, roadblock. And really, the meta game is you just come to a point where you're like, oh, it's camping corners.
Oh yeah. It's pretty simple. Just 2 IEDs and calling a dog, and you're set with the target finder.
There you go.
So.
I knew Ghost was bad the second I saw Wings just absolutely tearing faces with it, and it looked like it was a game built for him, and I was like, right, okay, that settles it. Intense camping productions, having a whale of a time with Ghost. Let's get away from here.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess he probably doesn't like Advanced Warfare that much. I haven't really watched any of his.
I think a lot of it's very, very split down the middle. Some people like it, like people like Hutch having a whale of a time with it, and like I said, I think I'd enjoy it if the connections were better. I really would. I probably would give it a fair try. I will say, I was saying to someone else the other day, like, Advanced Warfare, and maybe it's just because I haven't played it enough, whilst the maps are solid, I'm not sure the maps are, like, particularly memorable. Like, I haven't seen a map where I've been like, oh, dude, like, this is, like, you know, the haven of this game. This is, like, the terminal of this game. Like, Advanced Warfare has solid maps, and they're not like Ghost, where they're, like, friggin' Skyrim RPGs. They're, like, open world, friggin' massive maps. Like, they make sense, but it's, like... And that was a similar problem I had with Modern Warfare 3, is, like, some of these maps aren't bad at all, but they're not that mind-blowing either. Like, they're okay. Like, Arcaden is kind of a bad version of, like, Terminal.
Well, they don't really fit in. That's the weird part on some of the maps. They didn't seem to work together.
Yeah, in conjunction.
You know? Right.
And the art direction on them is kind of like muddied and a bit like grey, and I really like maps that pop. Like, if you want me to, and that is a credit to freaking Guardians, is they pop. Like, oh my god, like the visual aesthetics of these maps, like they're so memorable, and they just keep you coming back for more. Because like Eden is like, it's dark, it's gloomy, it's murky, but like in a very, very deliberate way, and it invokes a certain tone of the map. And you can look at maps like what's that map? Empire, like the bases are so clearly like color coded, and everything just pops, and like I know where I'm going, and it kind of almost guides you, and the map flow like guides itself just by the way it looks. And I think that's like a credit to the developers on
I think
that.
Empire is going to go on to be a classic map. I'm pretty sure. It's just got what it takes.
It's really hard for me to tell. Like, I try to gauge the community on what maps they like, and like I'll hear like, you know, I'll see one person on Twitter, Empire is straight garbage. I've never played a worse map. Truth's pretty good though. Scroll down. Truth is one of the finest maps in Halo history. I love it. It brought midship back to its prime. But Empire can suck a bit, like, and it's just like back and forth, and it's like I don't understand where we're at right now. Like, what maps are good? I mean, I like most of them in their own way. I think Truth has been my biggest like letdown in terms of maps, because it just, and maybe because of AR, BR, AR pistol starts and stuff like that. The game has definitely improved since they've gone BRs, in my opinion. Like, it's just funner, and you feel like you have more of a chance out of spawn. And the pistol, I love the pistol, but the pistol has like this aiming problem where like if you're getting shot at, it has flinch from like Halo 4, like people were saying, and I didn't really believe them at first, but the more I got like in tune with that gun, it's not reliable to aim in certain situations, not as reliable as the BR, but they've said they're going to get rid of it in the game anyway, the developers, so I'm happy with that. And I think that's one of the biggest things about Guardians as well, is that all the stuff that's like, you know, a little bit frustrating is very manageable, in my opinion. And people saying like, oh, sprint needs to go, it's got to go. It's like, of course it's not going to go. Like, you're crazy if you think that. Like, that is an established game mechanic that like was.
They would have to change the maps if they did that.
They're not going to change stuff that was part of their vision for the game and was part of the, like, you know, the meta of that game. But they will change stuff like grenade damage needs toning down, pistol needs aim, like, you know, management and stuff like that. That will get changed.
Automatic weapons need a little bit of a nerf, probably.
And they need to like not make you flinch, because like ARs versus pistol, like you just feel like I can't move my friggin' gun. It's like, what the hell? But Team BRs has been really, really good, and the maps are pretty strong, and they work very well in tandem with Sprint, as opposed to Halo 4 maps, which did not particularly work. I've always said Sprint is a map problem, not. I just for my money anyway. I mean, I know people would disagree hands down, but like Maps in Halo 4 did not work that well with sprint, and that exacerbated people's perception of the issue because like you've got complex, huge map. Like they just stretched it out and did not work for 4v4, and people sprinting around. You could tell that like they tried to make it bigger for sprint, but they didn't. It didn't pay off. And the same with like Solace, and the same with like I don't know, just so many maps, dude. The only map I actually liked from Halo 4 can say like I would place this in my top 10 maps or my top 20 maps was Haven.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah,
because Haven's amazing,
and
like,
sprint totally works on that.
And it totally works on that. And Haven, a lot of these new maps definitely have that Haven feel of like stuff circulates better, stuff flows better, and it just makes more sense with sprint. Whereas the other maps were like, let's make it really big, and then hopefully people won't, will find each other. And it's like, that's not, it just doesn't make sense.
Right. Well,
arena shooters, just to finish off, arena shooters, like, you didn't see them making arena shooter maps massive back in the day in Quake and Unreal Tournament, and you ran way faster than any game you'd see today. What they did is they just made the maps flow better. They made it have more breathing room in the close quarters areas, and yeah, just things made more sense.
Yeah. Now, speaking about sprint, what that other game mode where they fire all four of you out of a cannon or something at the beginning?
That's Breakout.
Breakout, yeah. Okay, I didn't touch it. I did not play one game of Breakout because I just don't see myself digging that.
It takes like everything I love about Halo. I've tweeted this, but it takes everything I love about Halo and throws it out the window. Like, I love the fact that Halo has higher health than most shooters and feels like you have this capacity to like outplay people. And when you lose, it's not like COD where you're like, why did I lose? And you're tearing your hair out and you can't see what happened in front of you. Like, it doesn't make sense to you. Whereas Halo, everything, like, if you really like slow down, like, you know what happened. But Breakout is one of these game types where it's just like run around the corner, SMG, and everyone's dead. And it's like, what the hell just happened? Like, everyone's dead right now. And I don't really get it. I will say, like, I do think it's like a playstyle thing where it's like some people enjoy that. And, if it brings more people into Halo, it's a completely, like, it diversifies the experience. The maps are really great in it.
The maps are cool. The way they look is awesome.
Amazing. I feel like, I was saying on, like, to Dell earlier, like, this is the sort of thing where if people were, like, cycling through streams on Twitch, like, I feel like if you saw a Breakout on one of those maps, you'd be, like, instantly focused. You'd be like, this looks really interesting. Like, the map layout's like Tron. I haven't seen graphics these good.
Right. Well, I just hope that some other game types besides Breakout use maps like that.
For sure, exactly. I think they will. I think it's just a Forge palette, so I think you'll see like Forge test playlists and some of which using that as a palette. Because I don't know if you've seen the GIF of like what looks like a kind of Forge world or a Forge made map, and that looks more like deserty. So I imagine the Tron thing is just like, it's either like it was in Halo 4 where you had like impact, erosion, etc., or it will be like you can actually change the palette on the fly. And me and Dell were talking about like that would be kind of cooler if you just have this big like Forge space to work with, and you could put like different palettes inside of that instead of like, because Halo 4 they made it like you go to erosion, you go to impact, and it was all kind of separate. Whereas it would be cool if you could like mix and match, and you could have like the same version of the same map but with a different palette. Because you know how they're doing like remixes in Halo Guardians. It would make the Forge experience a lot easier if they could just remix really good maps, like Simplex remixed Upside Down. Boom, like that would be a really cool map. And yeah.
Well, you know that they're probably got something up their sleeve. It's like they've got a little bit of time to work with this, and I have a feeling that they're going to pretty much blow us away with the Forge.
Oh, for sure. I think the game's going to blow us away. And I also think like there's probably an ace up their sleeve right now in terms of like, because they're not stupid. Because I've been having this worry like, they're selling arena multiplayer to us right now, but arena multiplayer, that attracts like a niche, and like it's good to have that niche on board.
Right, but that's not even the biggest segment. You
need the casuals like in this game, and right now, like casuals get on this game and like they have a terrible time because there's only ranked right now, and like and like the diehards are like so hard to please anyway. And I do think they have this ace up their sleeve with maybe something like 32 multiplayer, like 32 player multiplayer with like crazy vehicles, or just something you haven't seen in Halo like so far. And I think like there will be something that when you go on that menu, there is no doubt in my mind that either like the Forge will be massive and very adaptable, because you saw stuff like happening in H2A Forge, even though H2A Forge looks really ugly and they didn't quite pull it off, and H2A is broken full stop. there was stuff in the bullet points with like switches and just making it like it was actually huge, the H2A Forge. I don't know if you've seen this video, but there's this video where there's a guy standing on top of a tower and he throws a grenade down for scale, and it's like they've built it to like the max heights and max capacities, and you watch the grenade and it just goes down and 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 down, and the little people look like specks on the floor. It's like throwing something off the top of the Empire State Building, and it's just mind-blowing. And I feel like that was like kind of like almost like, if that was then, because they weren't going as hard on H2A, especially with Forge. Like that was probably almost like an afterthought. With Halo 5, I think that's where they'll like knock it out the park and be like, yeah, we were just testing around for a little while, but we've actually kind of nailed it right now. That might be being mega optimistic, but they've got to have something up their sleeve.
I'm pretty sure you're right. Now, so yeah, go ahead, Flex.
Oh yeah, they definitely they got something they got a rabbit they're gonna pull out of the hat here at the end. Just blow everybody's mind.
Now, if you ever go on the player numbers on any Halo game, Big Team Battle is always the number one played playlist. So they didn't show us even a clue, even a hint at Big Team Battle, and they're not going to this entire beta. Do you think? Of course, they're gonna present something in the upcoming months. You know, when E3 comes out and Gamescom and all that, they're gonna let us in on something. But do you think there's any chance that we'll get another chance for the players to get into this beta?
No.
Again, you don't think they'll do another beta like down the road in a couple of months and maybe show something else?
Really like them to, but I just can't see it happening. Like they've been very, very clear and upfront, and 343 don't pull surprises on us too much. Like they do kind of like, and developers in general, like if they say stuff, it's very rare that they're like, surprise! Like, I mean, because they want to, if there's one thing that game developers do in this day and age, they build up hype for stuff, and they say, you know, if there was something good to announce, they would have announced it to, like, you know, a million years in advance, like Destiny. Like, Destiny was like, well, Destiny even announced stuff that wasn't even real. And I feel like if they were to do BTB beta, they'd be hyping this up, especially, as you say, the BTB numbers were huge. They need to, like, make sure people know that it's happening. If they did do it, they'd do it really close to the game, maybe, but then they couldn't do it too close because then that would like mess up the hype schedule for the game, because you also need a lot of time for people to, you know, talk about the game without actually having it, because people want what they can't have, so they need like, you know, a bit of breathing room between the release. So I just don't know how it would fit in logistically, and I think if they're smart, they need to get like H2A working, because they've got all these tournaments lined up. They have this massive schedule, and it's becoming an embarrassment, like more so than Halo 4 and Reach ever were, because this game, they hyped up more, they got more people engaged than ever with like social media and the idea and the concept of MCC, and it didn't work. You know, you could say Halo 4 was broken, quote unquote, but we all know it wasn't.
Not broken like this.
It wasn't broken. Like they say broken, quote unquote, hashtag exaggeration. This is broken. Like there's no ifs or buts. It's not like, oh, the mechanics worked so bad. It's broken. No, it's fundamentally like actually like.
It actually may be the most broken AAA title that has ever been released.
People keep like Halo people can be so dumb with like. There's some Halo people who are like, I was saying this earlier, like there's Halo people who are toxically negative, which there are many of, but there's Halo people which are toxically positive. They don't want to say a bad word because they feel like if they do, it will kill the franchise. And it's like, no, like you have to have an element of constructive criticism as well. Like, do you not understand how like closed-minded you come across if you say every element of Guardians is good or everything that 343 is doing good, especially with their recent track record? Like you have to put pressure on certain elements and say this is not like acceptable as a consumer, this is not acceptable as a consumer, because at the end of the day, they're a business. They're not like you know, our friendly Halo player trying to make us our favorite Halo game. No, like they listen to what the audience want, and they listen to what the bottom line is. And if you start like going around trying to say, no, MCC wasn't as broken as Battlefield, it's actually, you know, I get games when searching solo sometimes, not all the time, get kicked out of games, don't get ranked properly, not enough ranked playlists, not enough no Forge test playlists. Like the game
It doesn't save your single player progress. That happened to me a couple of times.
Yeah, people got like that black screen when they got crashed out of single player. It skips single player levels. It always skips Guilty Spark on Combat Evolved for some odd reason. There's just like it's janky in every aspect of the game. Battlefield 4. I mean, there's a lot of people who bought Battlefield 4 and they wouldn't have known it was broken unless they went on a forum. MCC, you know, to some extent, if you've tried to play with friends, if you've played through every single campaign, if you've gone into custom games, there is an aspect that has drawn your attention where you're like, that isn't right. Like, why can't I hear my friend in game chat? Why am I getting kicked out of games? I mean, if you've tried to play matchmaking, you know. Like, you just know. There's no way you can't know.
That motherfucker's broke, man. It's broke bad.
You could spend like 3 hours searching on matchmaking. You could get your friend kicked from the party. You will get your friend kicked from the party. Like, there's no ifs or buts. Like, that stuff happens.
I just feel just embarrassed for the people who actually bought an Xbox One specifically for the Master Chief Collection. That is just like, I cringe to think what they think.
Most of us did do that. Most of the Halo community did do that. Like, at the end of the day, like, yeah, they played other games in the interim, and like, yeah, Titanfall they bought into for a little bit, but the reason they were originally buying that Xbox was because that's the console where Halo is. In the Halo community, obviously. Like,
right. Well, you know, the Halo players would have bought an Xbox. I mean, most everybody would have.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Halo people just don't give up on Halo.
No, they're not gonna. They're not gonna.
They'll pretend to give up for a month, go emo, and then they're like, wait, is Halo back? Is Halo back? Is Halo back? They're so waiting for Halo to be back. And I think a lot of people, like, people will come around with Halo 5 because they know that, like, you gotta understand, this is an actual, like, big chance for Halo to be back. And, like, this is one of the first times, like, we've seen like physical proof and visual evidence of like a Halo game working and working pretty darn solidly. You know, good connections, a spectator mode. Like, it's not like MCC where we were being sold the idea by the press. We've played the idea, and like we know. I don't know. People act like it's like slow, it's boring, it's a freaking camp fest, and it's like, well, it's not like people didn't camp on Halo from time to time and try to camp and try to set up. And have really, really frustrating setups. If you watch this game, you know, when I watch this game on YouTube, and I haven't had this on a game since I didn't have it in H2A, I didn't have it in MCC in general, I didn't have it in any of like the more recent COD games. I remember Black Ops 2, this is where it started. Since Black Ops 2, every game I've watched on YouTube didn't like make me need to watch the game, to play the game. And Halo 5 Guardians, the second I watched that on YouTube, I was like, oh my gosh, this looks ridiculously fun. Every little aspect of this looks fun in some way. I want to hit ground pound.
It's an exciting, it's a thoroughly modern game. It's like, you know, going back to the old Halos, it's like, as cool as people think they are, I never played the original Halos. When I go back, they seem kind of old fashioned. They seem a little old fashioned.
And you've got to see that you, like, starting with
Halo 4,
you have the most you know, unbiased, unfiltered, and you're not a biased person in general, and like I respect your opinion so much more so than people who like dedicate their lives as a cult to like 1, 2, and 3 and still say like, I can go back to that and that's better than any modern game. It's cleaner, crisper, blah 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 blah. It's like, you've got to understand that like you play that game and like you're instantly teleported to 2006 because you have so many memories there and so many excitement. And I'll be honest, like, you know, when I get on the Halo 2 menu, I'm in paradise. Like, I'm in bliss. I'm like, oh my god, like, oh, like I'm just like, I'm ready. Like, and you hear that? No, not even that. It's like the guitar at the beginning. It's like, and like I have listened to that as a 5-year-old or like 8-year-old child, and my heart melted. And that's never going to change. And I'll always have those fond memories. But you have got to look at it from the perspective of like, there is a like younger generation of gamers who like, they need something new and they need something like, you know, better, like changing, like, you know, the reason Halo is so amazing and Halo 3 was so amazing and Halo 2 was so amazing because they were the first games to do that. And like, you're not gonna reinvent that feeling.
You can't relive it.
You can't relive that feeling. You've got to make new experiences. You've got to live new games. That's the only way you'll ever like, you know, get that feeling back, is because Halo was amazing because it was the first thing that did something like that. And Halo 5 is doing something new. Like, even Halo 4 had like an awkward balance of like a couple of COD elements injected into a Halo game, sort of, and this
But they
game
didn't
definitely
even
is.
do it. They didn't do it well enough. I mean,
No, they didn't
it's
do
like,
it well enough at all. It was a very like janky thingy, and you could tell that like they hadn't struck a chord with like a balance of new elements whilst keeping some of the fundamentals from Halo. Whereas I think that is what Halo 5 does. It keeps some really, really top-notch fundamentals from Halo gameplay, but then spices it up with a couple of movement abilities. And like I hate how people like just don't give credit where credit is due with Halo 5. You're allowed to like or dislike any game, and your opinion's as valid as much as the next Joe Schmo. But if you start like disregarding every single little positive and disregarding stuff like D-scope, stuff like, well, there will be no flinch, but not right now, and like really, really, really low auto aim, the lowest auto aim in a game since perhaps like 2007, 2006. Like, if you want to disregard that, I find it really hard to respect your opinion in general. Like, at least tally up the positives, tally up the negatives, and say I would like a couple of more like positives like this, but don't say Halo 5 is broken and unredeemable, because like.
Because that's
like,
bullshit,
Because it's total bullshit. In a lot of ways, Halo 5 is like an olive branch to the community. More of an olive branch that has been handed out by 343 beforehand. Like, Halo 4 was not an olive branch. Halo 4 was like, we're changing this quite a bit. Deal with it. We added an ordinance. Like, ordinance was a like punch in the balls. Like, and like loadout and like, like picking all this specific stuff, bolt shot, like, that stuff was a kick to the testicles. There's no getting around that. Whereas Halo 5 is like trying to gently caress your testicles, and you've got to be warming up to that stuff. You got to be. I know you haven't had your balls touched in quite some time, but they're doing their best.
Yeah, well, do you think that maybe over the course of this beta that's gone so far, and maybe even more so by the time it's over with, do you think some of the hardcore guys may have been won over a little bit? Maybe they've softened.
Dell. I mean, like I said, Dell is the perfect example of that, dude. Like, he really, really, really had a fun time, and like, there was a point in time where he was like, he went from like, this game sucks, dude. Like, that's what he was like when it was pistols and AR starts, like, which I understand. Like, it could be frustrating from time to time, but there was a point where it was like he was almost trying to pretend he didn't enjoy the game because he didn't want to betray like the core Halo, and it was like.
Well, there's a thing where a person can kind of paint themselves into a corner where they kind of, they've expressed an attitude that. It's like maybe they don't have the attitude anymore, quite the same. But it's like it's hard to go back when you've committed so far.
Yeah. Okay. I see. Yeah. I totally see it. Like they made such like profound statements that like going back on them almost feels like going back on your word. But nobody really cares. Like everyone loves someone like enjoying themselves and like having a good time. Like you shouldn't be like embarrassed and like have humility over that. Like it's completely dumb in my opinion. Like enjoy what you want to enjoy, and everyone in the Halo community, like, oh my god, like the Halo community hasn't felt this tight knit for a very long time, and there was a time when like Halo 4 was more towards its prime when that was happening, but even now it looks even like bigger and better because the slightly older members of the Halo community are like warming up to this, and then the slightly newer, and we're all like converging and just having such a good time. And whenever like someone like finally like caves in and is like, you know what, I'm actually starting to get this, I'm starting to enjoy this, like they instantly, Dale just instantly became a part of our 4. I love playing with Dale. That was one of the funnest people to play with, period. We were just having a whale of a time.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. Well, it's like, oh, go ahead, Lex.
I was just going to say, because, at the end of the day, even though people won't admit it, they want something different. They want something bleeding edge to play, man. And what it's really about is having fun.
Yeah, not everyone does, but there's like a minority of people who just will always want older stuff, and like, and even when they get that older stuff in their laps, they won't be like I mean, when we're like sat in a lobby like playing like Halo 2, like I said, like there might be like enjoyment there, but there's not that excitement. There's not that like, oh my god, guys, let's friggin' go! This is sick. This is insane. Like it feels like they're kind of like forcing it a little bit. Like let's try and make those memories come back, guys. Like we can do it if we all hold hands and believe enough in the old school days. It's like And it's so much easier when there's just something new in front of you, and you're creating new experiences instead of trying to relive old ones. And like Halo 5, the thing is, you've got to come to a certain like point in time where it's like, this is going to change. Like, as much as you don't want it to, it is going to change. I know you're going to sit there and like mope around and just, you know, bag on the experience and then cry when Halo is dead, or are you going to try and make the most of it, try and find an angle in which you enjoy it? Because like, you're losing if you're not enjoying it. Like, nobody's winning when you're not enjoying it. Like, you are just having a bad time. But if you're trying to enjoy it, like, what's the worst that's going to happen? You're either going to find out that you don't like it no matter what you do, which is, you know, you're at the same point you were at before, or you might randomly find out that there is stuff about this game that is, you know, like tempting you to the dark side and is actually pretty darn enjoyable.
Yeah, well, even Halo 4, the people who are really, really, really into Halo still played Halo 4. I mean, when I discovered it, it was already in its serious decline. It was like the summer of this past year. And the only people playing the game were the serious diehards, and that's where I found all you guys.
Exactly.
And that's the game to play. It was like, what else are they going to play? What other game are they going to play?
You didn't enter like our YouTube community and see like a bunch of like COD commentators, like, and Halo 4 was randomly their favorite game, blah blah blah. Like, no, like you came in and you saw like Core like plays in CE and they're just trying to make it happen because like they just like never give up, they never hold hope, like, and they'll do the same with Halo 5. Like, if you don't think like people like Dell are like gonna try custom games and he's gonna like, you know, be heavily invested in the community, like, you're crazy. And I kind of knew it from day one. It was like, Dell, like, there's too much here. Like, you're too invested. Like, the community, Halo community is like, it's hard to get into, but once you're in it, you never leave. Like, you're like, it will be like your tattoo for the rest of your life.
It's like the mob. It's like the mob, man. You
well,
can't get out.
The first night that the Halo beta came online, I was so crestfallen. I saw Dell was streaming Counter-Strike. It's like, oh my God, he's seriously going through with this.
No. Yeah.
Oh my
I don't
God.
know. Look, I don't know, man. I feel like whenever I talk to him, I feel like a Jehovah's Witness trying to just like show him the glory of Guardians. Do you have some time for Guardians? Do you have some time? A couple of games? And he'll try like one game and then just get furious. But to be honest, like, he never like picks out individual like stuff and says, oh, this is exactly what's frustrating me. Like 99% of the time it's mostly, fuck this game, like this skill ranking, like I shouldn't be playing these players, like this is too hard. Like, it is too hard. I get that. Nobody likes to lose, dude.
Well, if he was going 20-4, he'd probably have a different attitude. That's my. That's
I don't play Trivial Pursuit with my family, not because it's a bad game, but because I don't want to lose to my family because they're smarter than me. So I just say, "Oh, it's a trash game," and then I walk out the room salty.
Okay, so you're not a good trivia player then.
I am a terrible, terrible, terrible Trivia Pursuit. I feel like I need a handicap. I'm just so bad. Like, and my mum and dad's trivia is like on point, to say the least. Like, I don't know, man. They got trivia for days. They win pub quizzes, like, and all that stuff. And that ain't my life, mate. I ain't about that pub quiz because I hate most sports. Like, I don't know, dude. Just general knowledge. No.
Yeah. Well, did you ever
history, all that stuff?
Did you ever play You Don't Know Jack?
Nope. Never heard of it.
Oh, okay. It's a fun trivia game. So I don't know if you knew this, but Bulletproof Underwear, Flex and I have a game show that we do sometimes.
I thought you were doing one with Frozen Sword and
yeah, we just have to put that together. But we also have just a general trivia show. It's called Smarty Pants, and we've done it like 4 or 5 times, and people actually win real prizes. I've got a stash of. I think Starbucks gift cards or something like that.
Pretty impressive.
And like my newest idea that we're going to have for Bulletproof Underwear Smarty Pants is we want to get one person representing Halo, one person representing the Battlefield community, one person representing Call of Duty, and if, you know, maybe
it's an FPS questionnaire, or you give them like
no. This would be just an all-around general trivia, like Trivial Pursuit kind of stuff, history, popular culture, sports, entertainment, science, geography, that kind of stuff.
All that shit you hate.
All that shit you're not good at.
I get pub stomped. I'd be an embarrassment. Get Lurker on. He'd be good at that. Lurker would be good. I know he'd be good.
Yeah.
So you know he knows history and like poetry and lame stuff.
Yeah, well,
Like
Dell said he
Edgar
would do it
Allan
when we
Poe.
first proposed it, but that was before he discovered Counter-Strike. So, maybe he would rep Counter-Strike. I don't know.
I'd rep Halo. He's Halo till he dies.
Yeah. I know I can get a Battlefield guy. We've got some smart Battlefield players.
He's so Halo till he dies. When I see a Halo player like stream another game, and I was the same. I can attest to this. Like I'll try and do like Smash 4, let's say. Oh, I love me some Smash, but whenever I'm trying to like being immersed into like the YouTube community, I feel like I'm faking it. I'm like, let's try and pretend to be a Smash commentator for a day. Yeah, like, Smash with the friends, Smash with the people. How's it going, guys? And then really, it's like, nah, dude. Like I'm Halo till I die now. Like,
Well, I'm going to let you in on a little secret, Major. It's like, I don't care about Smash.
I have to admit. Smash competitive, the newest Smash doesn't play very well competitively. Like, it's not that fun to watch, like, or play, and so it's hard to stream. Like, it's a very, very, very fun, like, semi-competitive, like, casual game. Like, and I think it's very, very pretty as well, and nice to look at, but it's complicated. Like, it's not something, like, you could watch. Like, when you watch, I don't know, I'm guessing this is your experience, like, what are they doing? Like,
What are they doing?
They're
bouncing. They're bouncing
Why does
around.
he have a shield now? Why is he grapple hooking someone? How come he can do this OP? Like, and really, it's simple. Like, once you actually like get into it, like it's insanely simple, but it has like this, like it's so nuts. Especially like 4-player.
Also,
you watch
it's
that 4-player,
so
like,
beloved. These beloved characters. It's like it's so darn cute. Oh my god, it's so cute. But it's like
the ever-loving
that's why. That's also one reason I don't like Minecraft. I don't get into cute games. It's like if you're gonna play Lego Batman or something, it's like I'm sorry, I just can't get into it. It's too cute. Give me Mortal Kombat. If you're gonna play a fighting game, let's see you rip somebody's fucking face actually off.
That's why I can't find it. There's something extremely disrespectful about, like, hey, look at me, I'm Mario. Throw you off the edge, punch you in the face, get down. And you're just like, there's nothing more disrespectful. Because in a, like, FPS environment, like, that's, like, expected. That's, like, commonplace. But in there, it's like, oh, you want to come to Fairy Tale Land and hang out with a couple of psychopaths? Let's go.
Yeah. Let's see cute little Kirby, curb stomping somebody. It's like, I want to see you actually tear a person limb from limb.
Do you know, I do miss Gears of War for that very reason, because Gears of War did not hold back with the gore, and like,
oh god,
when you like beat up a player, you beat him up. Like Gears of War 3, you rip off his arm and beat him to death with it. Like, that's pretty fun. That's pretty cool. And like,
nothing beats a chainsaw, man.
Never really been into gratuitous like gore too much, but like in that game, I just can't get enough of it, dude. Like, I just want to take people's faces off, and there's something so satisfying about it, because it's still quite arcadey and it's still quite like tongue in cheek. Like, I love it, dude. It's really fun.
Well, that's one thing you can say about Halo. The gore is very, very low on it. Everything is clean. Everything is very clean.
Even Halo 5, like, it's got, like, it gets more and more arcadey with each iteration. Like, Halo 5 feels very, very arcadey. Like with the like that sound effect, the pop when you like take off people's heads, you can tell they just wanted to make it like, it feels a little bit more like whimsical and like comical, and I quite like that. Like, it's very arcadey, and it keeps you coming back for more, because you feel like, that whole like high score vibe, like it's got that to it. It just like throws medals at you, and you're like, oh, I need to play more, dude. I want a hat trick medal next time. I want freaking, like, it's fun. I love it.
Well, Halo is very clean and shiny. Your guy is clean and shiny. The environments you play in are clean and shiny. There's not trash and like shit. Except there is bugs.
Yes, and
there's
they're weird
bugs.
Scarab beetles from like the Mummy. Do you know the Mummy, where like they crawl into your face and then like ripped out your eyes and stuff? Do you remember that? Have you watched the Mummy?
I didn't see that.
That film is like, oh my, okay, A, you need to watch that film because it's actually amazing, and B, those things like gave me nightmares as a kid, because like they're literally like scarab beetles from Egypt, like they're those shiny ones, and basically like the way in which they like mummify people is by having like the bugs like rip off people's skins and like all their organs, and it like tears everything out internally. So they like go into this cave, and then there's like scarab beetles start like swarming over people and like tearing them limb from limb. And whenever I see one of those scarabs on that map, I'm like it gives me nightmares, dude. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Speaking of movies, okay, so abrupt change of topic here. Just I guess it was last night. We watched on demand on Comcast. We watched The Interview. Kim Jong Un.
Oh, that film. I haven't watched it. I've heard mixed things, and I know it's like controversial as heck. Did you enjoy it?
Okay, I'm going to tell you right now that I liked it. It was stupid as fuck, which is exactly what you expect with James Franco
and Seth Rogen.
Of course. It was just like Pineapple Express, where there are a couple of morons doing stupid shit. And Kim Jong Un was hilarious. He was like, I don't know. You have to see the movie. He was very, very funny, and there was intense gore. There was some intense gore in that movie.
Was there like a Team America, like Kim Jong-il kind of vibe to it, of like he's crazy and kind of funny at the same time? Is it a bit like
no?
That?
They didn't make it as bad as that. It's like they played it pretty straight up, and this is like, dude, where's my car? These kind of like morons, and it was very funny. And you know what? I got just a teeny feeling of patriotism watching that. It's like, Here's you're not going to tell me what I'm not going to watch.
Yeah. Is it about like censorship and all that stuff in Korea?
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, at one point where he turns, it's like the guy is about to go through with the plot to kill Kim Jong Un, but he wins him over, and he's like they're lying, trying to make it sound like North Korea is actually good. They have a grocery store like stocked with food, and there's a fat kid standing in front of it when they're driving into the palace. Well, later he goes wandering around. How he's wandering around, I don't know. But he finds that grocery store, and it's like a facade. The windows, it's like they're paintings of food. And there's like there's these little things of like, cardboard fruit and styrofoam, vegetables and stuff. It's just, he lied. It's like, so now they're actually ready to kill the guy. And Seth Rogen gets a couple of fingers bitten off.
Gosh.
So there's gore.
That'd be worth the price of admission right there.
So there's some good stuff in there.
Thought it was quite weird.
Does he smoke a hooter before he bites his fingers off?
No, there's no drugs or smoking in there.
Oh, that's weird. I didn't know that was a thing.
Wait a minute.
No, they were okay. Kim Jong Il had hookers and all kinds of
cocaine
stuff. Yeah. Yeah, he had a party going on.
I always find it kind of weird that like Team America was so much more controversial. And was Kim Jong Il alive at the time? I think he was. He was alive at the time. So like, is it because it was puppets they got away with that? Because really, like Kim Jong Il was like literally a nutter who like nuked people left, right, and center, and like
it was so disrespectful. It's way more disrespectful.
It wasn't exactly like oh, let's change the name slightly, let's like change his appearance. It's kind of like let's get Kim Jong Il as a puppet, looks exactly like him, does mental things, gets friggin' some guy who looks like Osama bin Laden.
I'm Ron Ree. I'm so Ron Ree. That was just hilarious.
I love that film, dude. That's so good.
That is what, remember the sex scene between the two puppets?
Yeah.
At one point, one of them is shitting on the other. Did you see that version?
That's in the extended. Yeah, that's in the extended cut. It's like in the film, it's like 1 minute long, but then in the extended, it's like 3 minutes long, and it plays out for the whole song, and it's very, very awkward. Like if like a guy took like a girl to that date, like 90% of girls were like so like grossed out. That's not like a film to take your girlfriend to see, essentially, is what I'm saying. They're like, this is gross. Why are puppets fucking?
They're not just fucking. It's like the one puppet is getting violated, defiled.
Yeah,
like any good sex should be, defilation.
Yeah, and scat porn, of course. Yeah, but like, sorry, go on.
And I like how he's like, Durka.
Durka Mohammed Jihad. The terrorists are heading down Bakalaka Street. Because that's what? But moving back a bit, like, I just thought, like, Smash is a really great series to parallel to Halo. Because Melee is one of these games that, like, released a bit like Halo 2, where, like, it has that beautiful accident vibe of like, you know, they had, you know, in the same way that Halo had like de-scoping and what are the other mechanics? Why do I always forget them off the top of my head? I always forget de-scope, like no sprint.
Well, they had button glitches.
Button glitches,
you know.
that's a good example. Stuff like that. Like Melee had these same, like, you know, they almost didn't seem intentional, but they worked so well. Like they call it like L canceling. You like do your move in half the time if you press a specific button, stuff like that. And the fact of the matter is, like, if you look at their newest iteration, Smash 4, yeah, Smash 4 has done stuff so brutal to that game series, like in terms of like for the Melee elitists, it's more brutal towards Melee than Halo has ever been. Like Halo 5, you know, like it's got de-scoping, it's got these mechanics. Every single little mechanic like that, in the same way that it's like this nifty little mechanic, all stripped down. It is just like smash the game, and like all the little extra, you know, faculties of the game, they're just gone. Like they are straight out ripped out in a pretty aggressive way. And at the same time, you see that a lot of people being very mature about it. Like the people who like Melee, they'll just carry on playing Melee for the most part. You know, the pros, you don't see them saying, "Oh, this is trash for X reason, Y reason. Cheers for breaking the game." They're like, "Well, Smash 4 looks quite fun in its own way. I think I'm just going to stick to Melee." Yet the changes
Really?
between Melee and Smash 4, obviously you do get your like occasional, but they're way more niche. It's not like you go onto a Smash forum, like you go onto Reddit or Smash Bros, and for the most part they're so receptive towards change and like, you know, new things happening. And whilst the Melee fans do, like a lot of them do outright detest Smash 4, at the same time they're fairly happy to stick towards Melee. And funnily enough, Melee's actually seeing a higher turnout in tournaments, but Smash 4 is still like a wildly successful game because it sells to the casuals in a big way. But
Now,
yeah, it's
now
just
the
kind
one
of
that
weird
came
to see
out on
that
the
parallel.
original Wii, that was not a hit at all. That didn't go over.
What do you mean on the Wii?
The original
Brawl.
Wii,
Well, Brawl
Smash
was,
Brawl, yeah.
with the competitive community, that was probably worse than Smash 4. But even Smash 4 is drastically like different to Melee. Like they have like techniques called L canceling, wave dashing. And just all these little advanced techniques for like recoveries, and they're all just completely and utterly wiped out. They have something called like infinite air dodging, where basically when you're falling down, you can keep tapping this button to go invincible for a couple of seconds. And they added that, and people hate that because you can't like aggressively pursue someone in the air because they can just dodge and then punish you. So they got rid of all that like depth, but people just still seem to, you know, either adapt or they just like they're happy to accept the fact that they've still got their old game and they still love their old game. And I just wish Halo people could be a little bit more like that instead of like, let's see how we can break down the new people. Screw the new people. The new people must be destroyed. Blah. It's like, okay, dude, like, and it's not, you know, I think the thing that makes it worse is that, yes, Smash 4, you will see these trolls. Like, you'll see trolls in any community who say Smash 4 is bad, Melee's better. But for the most part, they stick only to Twitch and negative YouTube comment sections. The pros, the big personalities in the community, the shoutcasters, everyone, you don't see that stuff happening. Halo, you see that stuff bleed into the pros, bleed into the... And I mainly think it's because, like you were saying earlier, like, you know, Smash is a kind of kiddie environment and a more like, you know, childish, and it actually makes them more mature because they're, you know, they're not insecure enough to like want to play like some aggressive game. You know, when you go into the Halo community and go into, say, a custom game, there are these egos there. There are these like, you know, personalities, these brash personalities of like, I want to beat you, because you are like, you know, you're trying to kill the enemy team. And that honestly bleeds through to the whole environment and to the atmosphere of like how people interact with each other. You know, people don't just say their opinions. They're like, this is bullshit. Good job, 343. You went and killed it. You killed Halo. You killed the franchise. You killed my chances. In Smash 4, you'll see a tweet like, oh, I do really wish that they tweak this a little bit. It would be quite nice, but the game's still pretty cool.
I'm curious, Smash, is there like a female contingent at all in that game? Is it like Halo where it's just a sausage fest?
Females are like really treated poorly in the Smash community. Like a lot of females, like there's a lot of cases of like females getting like raped at like tournaments or getting abused and stuff like that. And yeah, like they don't get the best treatment at all. And I'm not saying that's a really common issue, but it's something that girls are like wary about, and they're wary about like, you know, being just the guys will either flock to them and like form a circle around them at a tournament, and it's like, it's a girl, OMG, it's a girl, because a lot of Smashers, like, they live in their basements, they're like study frame data, like they're not exactly a hit
because
with the ladies.
Because it is a game with some cuteness. I would think that maybe some gals are not going to be playing aggression games like first person shooters and fighting games. So those are the least appealing games to girls, most likely.
Yeah.
But, Smash has like the cute factor. Does that bring in some? I mean, are there some girl Smash players?
There's girls casual players, but tournaments are a very, very like heated environment, to say the least. Like, people don't like, in Halo tournaments, like your average Halo tournament is, like people going hyped when something's going on and stuff like that, but it winds down a lot. In Smash, a lot of the time, you don't see people wind down. They are screaming, they are shouting, they are going mental. I was watching a tournament last night where this guy was like going to do something like where it's called like four-stocking someone, and like they were screaming like at the top of their lungs, "Suck that dick, suck that dick," because that's Arizona's like personal chant or something like that. Like for when someone's getting four-stock, it's like "suck that dick," and like. There was like one girl in that crowd, and she did not look particularly happy about the situation. And that's just the kind of stuff you see. Like it's a very competitive environment, because it's a very competitive game. Like,
right. Well, the object of the game is to beat the shit out of somebody, and it's like first-person shooters is to shoot the shit out of somebody. It's like these are very aggression-oriented. The object of the game is pure aggression, and it's going to bring out the aggression aspects of the
every
players.
Game does. Every competitive game, every form of competition, you sit down and you play Monopoly with someone, they're probably going to go mental. But Monopoly's straight bullshit, and that's why. But still, games like you get a lot of people there, you get a lot of people watching a game, rooting for someone, and it's kind of different in Smash, because Smash, like Halo, you get teams, and whilst the teams get glorified and you do get certain personalities become cold personalities, Smash, like, if that person's doing well, it's that person doing well, and he becomes like, a hero, like a champion. It's like this guy got himself to the top for himself, and people like cheer and scream and go crazy for that sort of thing.
It's kind of like the difference between football and wrestling.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, wrestling, like you get Hulk Hogan, iconic, like everywhere. Football, you get like your odd occasional things, but it's more about the teams. Yeah, the Cowboys. Or see, you said football, and I instantly went to reverted to soccer because I'm British and lame. I don't know anything about American football either. Do you know how like it must be weird like living in a place where like American football is like your bread and butter, but then over here it's not at all. And it's the same with soccer, where like nobody's talking about soccer over there half the time, I'm imagining. Unless it's the World Cup and USA are doing well, then suddenly it's soccer's amazing. Oh my god!
Oh yeah, yeah.
I love that. I think that's so funny that like
USA.
I think Americans are a lot more. I mean, they'll root for their team no matter what, to be fair, but. I think Americans take losses way harsher and big up wins way more than the British do, because the British, like, they will love that team, like, and they will go and watch like a losing team and still support it and still get excited, which Americans do. But Americans are more like, you'll see them on Twitter like seething with rage if they like lost in the final. It's like, how could you let me down, you had this, and it's like they're like the manager of that team, and they feel like they had some like, they always feel like they were like part of the movement, part of why that team's successful. Like, well,
I never really understood that.
After all I've done for you, how could you let me down? It's like, what the fuck did you do, dude? Where are you? Who are you? You're nobody. Like,
we won. Yeah, the big we. It's us. Our team won.
It's like, no, these people are insanely talented and spend 10 hours and are naturally gifted. You are sitting on your sofa loving a bit of competition. That's about it.
Yeah, well, yeah, I bought a team jersey,
I did pay for the licensing of these jerseys, let's be honest. I made this team what they are.
I have a mug. Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
So you're not a fan.
of American football. Well, it's just not showed over here. To be honest, I find soccer boring as dishwater, and I think like honestly, sports I could see myself getting into. Like I have to enjoy watching the sport. I think a lot of people just get so invested in their teams that they can enjoy, anything. It doesn't really matter if it's a slow match because they're so like hyped with their team. They'll watch the game from beginning to end. If I come into a game of soccer, and like I see 0-0, I don't care what teams it is. I don't care who I support. I'm out of there. Like there's no one scoring. I'm not that interested. Like I like to see, and that's always why watching games has been so exciting for me because you see like 50-48, and there is like you see the pressure on someone at all times. A lot of the time in a soccer game, you see stalemates like to absurd amounts, and American football is probably slightly better for that because stuff is always moving and like there's always like chances to score touchdowns. It's not very often you see a 0-0 American football game. There would probably something went wrong if that did happen. So I think I don't
think that's possible. I don't know if you could have a 0-1 final score. I guess you could have one safety and nothing else. Technically,
exactly.
That would be unheard of. I don't know if it's ever occurred.
Exactly. Whereas a 0-0 is very, very commonplace. If you turn on the TV, you'll see like 1-0, 2-0, like, and an exciting game is like 5-0. That's like that's considered electrifying. And for me, 90 minutes with 5 goals, that ain't electrifying. Like I'm almost at the point where like I'd want to see soccer. There's a form of soccer called scorpion football where like the pitch is very, very small and the goal is very, very tight. But you see like people blasting like goals through, and there's a lot more like tricky playing. You're like, you're with the enemy, like you're right in the heat of the moment at all times. And I prefer that.
That sounds like American arena football, where the field is shrunk like considerably, and it's like it's kind of minor league. It's not like a major draw, but there is a professional arena football league that goes on.
I'm just kind of selfish because I'm ADHD. I don't often like respect the pacing of certain things. I'm like, no, I want to see some action.
You know what you might like is basketball because there's a ton of scoring. I was just about to say
basketball, slam dunks, like.
I mean, there's a score just about every minute and a half or so. There's a score, or maybe even more frequently than that. There's tons of scoring in that game, but maybe too much.
I think I'm just so immersed in games, like in the same way, like you see a guy who like only likes watching football, only likes playing football, and will never do anything else in their life because they're just so immersed and they feel like they're the manager of that team. All that stuff. I just feel like that with gaming right now. Like I feel like that's what I grew up with. That's what I'm immersed in. Like there's very little that like really gets me passionate about, like, conversating about, talking about, getting excited over. And it's really weird because, to parents that is like, and to adults that is an alien concept. But it's only because they didn't grow up with it or they haven't been immersed into it themselves, and it looks really, really weird, and it looks like you're just like looking at colorful objects moving on a screen and somehow getting very immersed into that. They just think you're like brain damaged probably or robotic. It's like, right. No, it's very good.
Well, did you see South Park actually put YouTube and Twitch in an episode a couple of weeks ago?
I did not see that.
PewDiePie was in it. Actual PewDiePie.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I did see that. And there was a hilarious moment where they made him film him playing Advanced Warfare, but they made it look like he was playing a scary game, and that was like the most genius idea because he was like, his reactions were like, oh no, oh my god, and you could tell like they told him do your PewDiePie stuff but do it with Advanced Warfare, and it made no sense, but it was so funny. He was like, oh no, he's coming through the window. I was like, that like South Park outdid themselves there. I was like, that is an amazing idea.
Yeah, and there was some. Was it League of Legends tournament that had like concurrent viewers like in the million or something like that, and they held it in a football arena.
Yeah.
The actual live thing, it was like Korea, right?
It's funny, like with League of Legends, like I always knew it was big. Obviously, I always knew it was the biggest one out there, and I always knew it was bigger by a sizable amount. However, when I randomly saw on Twitter like the concurrent numbers for players on like League of Legends versus Dota versus CSGO versus Hearthstone, and like it was like concurrent player, concurrent stream viewers, and like it blew me away like how well League does. Like like even Dota, which is second, it dwarfs it. It's like I don't know. I won't know the numbers or anything like that, but let's say like in terms of ratios, it was something like 9 million versus 9 million versus 2 million versus 1 million for CS:GO, or maybe 500,000 for CS:GO. And that was like concurrent players. I think I am about right there, but I could be completely wrong, so forgive me if I am. But and I was just like,
it's crazy.
what?
It's crazy.
Like,
well, with that kind
bigger,
of
but like
with that kind of
5 times
Twitch
bigger?
and those kind of tournaments, you know, like the mainstream will have to kind of recognize that there is a new game in town. You know,
Oh, and they're
move
already
over.
doing it. I got into a car the other day, and like the radio turned on, and the first thing I heard was, "Esports. It's affecting people's lives. What do people think about esports?" And like, this new generation is getting more and more like, you know, in tune with it, and it will happen again. Like, you know, we'll be the ones who are like, we see esports in a certain fashion, but then the newer generation have some other aspect. It will probably be like virtual reality, Oculus Rift. They're like, why aren't you willing to put on your Oculus Rift headset and headshot some people in this virtual world? And you're like, because it gives me headaches and I'm too old for this and it's scary. And it's like, no, it's amazing. Like, that will be it. I guarantee it. Oculus Rift is going to be not so soon enough, like not too long, I don't think. I'd give it like another 10 to 20 years and Oculus Rift will blow your mind. And you'll be able to like live out the rest of your days of retirement in some virtual paradise with hookers and blow and not have to feel bad because you're doing it with robots, so it doesn't matter. You'll be like, yeah, woo!
And you'll have gloves, and you'll be on a circular treadmill, and you'll be able to just go anywhere. You'll be able to suspend yourself upside down, whatever you want to do.
I'm very into that idea of just like walking around. Like imagine stuff like zombie games where like you go in the virtual reality game and you are in a derelict city, and it's like, go find your way. And it's like, oh god, like I'm in a city, I need to find like some home. And you're like opening doors, literally opening doors and just pulling it and just being like, hello? And it's like dark and you can barely see anything. And you're just like, is anyone there? You just get shot and it's like, no! And then 2 seconds later you realize I didn't actually die then. Okay, it's chill, let's try again. Like, that sounds just mind blowing to me.
They'll put some sort of like a pulse rate monitor on you or something that'll like, yeah, it'll go into a fail safe mode. Like it'll stop the game, you know, if your adrenaline gets too high.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. People could have like heart attacks, and dude, they need to like find some way to like simulate pain but not actually give you pain as well, where it's like you actually like, you know, something like jolt you, where it's like, you know, when you're dying there's something to like really make you scared of dying, if you know what I mean, because like otherwise it will just feel too disconnected. It won't immerse you fully. And obviously I'm not saying let's electrocute people's hearts and their pacemaker goes off and they explode, but just something like that.
Yeah, it'll be a suit that you'll put on, and they'll have rumble packs and electrodes. They'll give you a mild shock in a like you'll actually feel when you get shot. Oh,
that would be so cool. And you could like choose to turn it off if you wanted to, but that was like for players who really wanted to fully immerse themselves. That would be not so, dude. And like, I don't know, I just think Oculus Rift for like the longest time, people always knew like virtual reality and like motion sensors and all that could be good, so they keep buying into stupid stuff like Wii's and like gyroscopic movement and like PS Move and all that stupid stuff, because they know that like once the technology is nailed and hammered down, this will be nuts, but it's just a matter of time until they sort that out.
It'll be like Star Trek, you know, we'll have like holodecks and stuff.
We just gotta hope we don't like blow ourselves up before like we get to that point, because technology is just gonna only get nutter and nutter. Although it will also be one of those things where it's like so relative that like it's almost like boring. Like, are you coming on a holodeck tonight? Yeah. You're gonna virtual reality like shoot some people? Yeah, let's go for it. That's the problem with humanity as well, is everything's relative, and as much as we hype up technology, and as much as it's, like I said, like, I love getting into Halo 5 for the first week, but then eventually it becomes boring. That's the same with everything in life. Like, everything's so good for the first time, but then it's like, yeah, I can do that whenever I want now, so it's okay. That's why, like, you know, like, I heard that, like, Africa, per, like, capita, are on average the most happy people, because everything's relative, and like, you know, when suddenly they've got like a jug of water in front of them, that's like the best day of their life. And
like, it's like a party.
The simple things are like absolutely amazing to them, and to us it's like, you know, we live in first world country. It's like, if our internet goes down for half an hour, the sky is falling. It's like, what the hell? No internet? Are you kidding me? I gotta read a book. I gotta speak to my family who love me. Are you having a fucking laugh?
Lizard Squad.
contact.
Christmas is ruined. Christmas
Lizard
is
Squad.
ruined.
I'll hunt them down and I'll kill them. They've ruined my Christmas. You're telling me I need to eat a roast dinner with my family and tell them I love them? Oh.
Meanwhile, in Africa, it's like, oh my God, did you just get a carrot? You got a carrot! Oh my God!
Do not want to make you too excited, David, but we've just managed to get glasses of water for the whole village. No! This is insane. It is dirty, of course, but it is, it's manageable. Yes!
Oh, Jesus Christ! On that note, I think we should wrap it up. Is there anything that you want to plug? Have you got anything coming up?
Not really. I'm just uploading hard to my YouTube channel right now.
You are.
And my
2
uploads
videos
are
in a couple of days.
I would have felt guilty, plugging my channel a couple of weeks ago when MCC was going, because my channel sucked for a couple of months. I can't lie. I didn't even want to upload. But right now, I'm really uploading, and I'm passionate and committed to uploading. So my YouTube channel, youtube.com/user/HonestMajor92. That's where I'm uploading right now, and I'm uploading Guardians every 2 days.
There will be a link in the description, and also Twitch.
Yeah, you could follow me on Twitch. I'm not going to be streaming quite as much just because I can't Elgato record and stream at the same time. Plus, my YouTube brings me way more happiness than my stream. YouTube's just too much fun at the moment.
Yeah. All right, so this has been episode number 131. And if you're still watching,
yay.
Get a life.
Oh.
So we'd like to thank our super duper awesome mega, maybe the best guest in the entire universe, Mr. Modest Major.
Very much for having me on.
Thank you. And I am your co-host, Yam Juice.
And I'm your co-host, Flex.
And it looks like I'm going to have to carry this thing today.
Yep.
But you guys, you can do it too. It's like method acting. Just do it. Do it. Someday, Major, we'll get a face cam of you doing that.
See, your dreams.
All right, in my dreams. Okay, so there's only one thing left to do. Take us out, Mr. Flex.
Alrighty. Bye.
Bloop.